Hey guys, so I recently saved something from Goodwill. It is a PS2 GameStop branded racing wheel. I believe this is called the Cobra in its day. It is only for PS2 as far as I can tell. It is a single wire running to the console. It only takes one controller, you know. So, what is notable about this is that it doesn't seem to be very sensitive. I can get to about like here and it still won't like detect turning. I have Gran Turismo 4 loaded up here. And just there it detected turning. And just there. So you can get quite far on this thing without it detecting like and actually making a turn. The pedals seem to be for the most part all or nothing. Like I can barely push down and it'll do something, but if I get anywhere near the metal, and by the way, the pedals look like this. They're pretty small. Not that that's a huge issue. If you get anywhere near the metal, like even halfway down, I'd say, it's immediately at full. And you can see how much I'm pushing it there. That's only about half the way down, yeah. That's about accurate. So, I can barely push it. And about half the way down. Yeah, that's kind of crappy. But what can I complain? I got this for $6, you know. Actually less because it was 25% off. All red tagged items that day. Something that's interesting is that all this does is it emulates the analog buttons from the PS2's original controller. The PS2, if you didn't know it, actually has analog buttons. They can sense pressure, so they know how hard you press down the buttons. The gas pedal does X, the brake pedal does square, and then obviously, you know, the steering wheel is obvious. It's the analog stick. There seems to be 3 modes to this thing, but I can't figure out how to make it go to the third one. It basically just emulates the analog button as is. If it's green here, it emulates the D-pad, and depending on how much you turn it, it'll repeatedly push the D-pad a certain amount. And the yellow mode is just analog. Like, that's just analog sticks on for the DualShock 2, you know? The wheel isn't super duper responsive, I noticed. So this one lacks sensitivity. And the brakes they're too sensitive. Oops, almost fell. So it's actually got these suction cups on the bottom. And it seems like only the front 2 work. Like the back ones are constantly lifting up for some reason. I can try and push it down here. Yeah. And it'll stay for a little bit. But if you ever decide to like pull on it a little bit, it immediately comes off. I'd just love some like vices or something, some way to get it down harder. I tried plugging this into my PC over there, using a PS2 adapter. And because of the fact that it uses the analog buttons and no adapter is obviously going to make, you know, 18 axes for each individual analog button on the PS2 controller, didn't work very well. The wheel obviously is going to work just fine because you can put it in analog mode, and that works all right. But the pedals were like completely non-responsive. It's either on or off digital because of the fact that it's detecting just the digital press, not the analog part on the adapter. And that's, you know, not necessarily the adapter's fault. I think anyone with any sense would make it like that, but I'd love some way to adapt this properly. I'm sure there's some way out there, I just don't personally know what it is. Something I find kind of cool is the fact that all these buttons on here are actually pressure sensitive, including the dual shifters on each side. They do L1, L2, R1, R2. And obviously in Gran Turismo, you press L1, you're going to look behind you. That's pretty nice. I noticed that I have some trouble in Gran Turismo because the nature of the game, it's supposed to be really realistic. Because this isn't super sensitive, and then it immediately skips to being like halfway through the axis or whatever, whenever you do detect the turning, it will often, you know, just immediately throw me off into a drift. so that sucks. Maybe it has to do with the cars I'm using, you know. Maybe I should switch my main car or whatever to adjust for this. But, you know, I don't think I should. My personal favorite thing about this is just the fact that I have a racing wheel now. It was $6 at Goodwill. I can't complain too much. But I'm enjoying it for what it's worth. Pretty fun. Thanks for watching.